of me and the listener out there, the listener watching
I'm
at this
sad
point.
that it took a breakdown to really get to that point.
To see the different
To
angle.
break down. To break down. I'm imagining the moment where you actually broke down and you had to get the camera.
Oh,
You were
you
like crying or something.
yeah, there were a lot of tears involved. $60 at Target later. It's a big moment in my life. All right, we are behind the scenes with Run With It. It's a Friday episode, as we were talking about a little bit before we turned on recordings a little bit. Ethan's feisty over here, as you've already seen. Feisty. We've got Chris Dickey here. He's the founder of Visibly, Visably.com. We're going to talk about a business idea to crowdsource reviews, which I think is a brilliant idea, and I'm surprised that it hasn't been done. But as I mentioned at the beginning, this is behind the scenes of Run With It. So if you'd like to hear the polished version of this show, then subscribe to us on your podcast player of choice. And in a couple of weeks, this will come out. We'd love to hear your feedback. Email us at update@runwithit.fm with your thoughts. And I think you can also comment on the Facebook stream. Ethan might pick that up and probably ignore it. Honestly, that's usually what we do. But afterward, we'll have a good laugh about it. You guys ready to do the recording?
Let's do it.
All right. Welcome to Run With It, the show that brings you untapped business ideas from successful entrepreneurs. My name is Chris Justin, and I'm here with Ethan Janney. Ethan, how you doing today?
Pretty good. I'm just trying to imagine in the utopian future where we all use Bitcoin and the dollar has completely disintegrated.
That I honestly
okay,
did
on
not
to the
listen to what
show.
you said.
All right.
Well, I just hit record on Zencaster, which you should have called me out on. But we have it on Zoom, so we'll have already figured that out.
Do you want to start over?
Yeah, let's just do that real quick.
Sounds good.
All right.
Are you recording on Zoom?
I am not recording on Zoom, but now we got it in triplicate. I'm sorry, Chris. We're normally a little bit more posh than this.
It's a Friday. That's okay, guys.
Friday. I know.
Get
It's casual
a
Friday
pass for
here.
Friday.
Yeah, Friday afternoon at that. All right. Welcome to Run With It, the show that brings you untapped business ideas from successful entrepreneurs. My name is Chris Justin, and I'm here with Ethan Janney. Ethan, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. You're also talking faster than normal. I think you maybe had a little extra coffee or something.
I did not get my green tea actually before the podcast episode, which I'm a little upset about. But
just feeling fresh after that salad you ate.
Yeah, creeper over here, knowing what I'm eating. All right, well we've got
in front
Chris.
Of me. That's the only reason I know you ate
I know, but I had to make you look bad. Whenever I get a chance, that's part of the stick. We've got Chris Dickey on the show today. He is the founder of Visibly. That's a platform that gives you search engine visibility, which is a term that Chris has coined. And what that means is you can see how your brand is performing within pages on Google's rankings. It's not just the Google ranking page itself, not just the SERP, but it's, let's say, within Amazon and within other platforms, REI maybe, that are on the first page of Google. You want to know whether people are finding your brand from the SERP. So that's what Visibly helps do, Visably.com. Chris is well positioned, given that background, to bring us a new business idea. This show is all about new business ideas. And the idea is crowdsourcing a review site. I think this is brilliant. I'm surprised that it doesn't exist. It does exist in other verticals, in software, G2 Crowd, and other platforms like that are out there, but doesn't exist for consumer products. So, Chris, tell us, what is the story behind this idea?
Well, at least it doesn't exist as far as I know. So, it's a big internet. Maybe someone's doing it. So thanks for having me, guys. It's great to be here. My background is actually in public relations, and I actually own a public relations agency in addition to running a software company. And in the last, I don't know, maybe 5 years, but really in the last 2 years, there's been this incredible shift in the PR industry, in the digital PR industry, toward away from just kind of storytelling, and storytelling has always been central to PR, but toward commerce. And what the way that plays out is that these publishers, and everybody here has seen it, everyone listening has seen this, like you're looking for, I don't know, a Christmas gift or Valentine's idea or whatever it might be. And someone has this like top 10 listicle, and you click in there and you're like, oh, that's cool. And then you click through and you end up on Amazon, and then you buy it. Well, Amazon kicks that publisher a percentage of the sale, and it's performance marketing, and it's a way that these publishers are harnessing the value of their audience in a landscape that really ads has kind of fallen by the wayside, in a large way. So they're trying to figure out, how do we monetize this huge audience we have? Oh, affiliate, it's great, right? So it is great. It's been a huge piece of the PR industry. And then, coming at it from a software perspective, which is my other kind of side, is I have this, Visibly. And what's really, really important in software are these affiliate sites like G2 or Capterra or whomever they might be. And these affiliate sites, they make a lot of money. And what they do is you basically have to pay to play on these sites. They get you set up, they start getting reviews out the door. And it looks like, from a consumer's perspective, like, oh, I'm going to go buy a new CRM or something like that. And here are all the best rated CRMs according to Capterra or G2 or something. And then anybody who actually clicks through on that purchase, Capterra or G2 also gets a percentage of that sale. So, those companies are making millions of dollars. And then the publishers on the other side of the coin, like say Hearst or Condé Nast or something like that, and like say Shape magazine online, they're saying, oh, like, here's the lipstick you should be buying. They're making lots of money on that stuff. But what I kind of was like, hey, no one's really doing is, what about a crowdsourced review site, kind of like G2, but for consumer products? And so that's kind of where it all came from. Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but just to all of us, because I'm not. In terms of the pay to play aspect, it's just really you don't get ranked according to how much you're paying or what your affiliate commission is. It's just, if you want to be on the site, you have to offer some sort of affiliate commission, and then people can go ahead and review it. And really, it just depends on how well you're reviewed. Or is there some sort of incentive for like paying them more or something like that?
Yeah, there is. There's all sorts of packages that they throw at you. But fundamentally, it's like how well you merchandised on their site. Like, are they going to put you at the front of the page, or these sites do really well in SEO. So anyone who's kind of starting their search, in SEO, and they're using search engines to do it, and they're like, hey, like, I'm looking for some new software for this thing, and then all of a sudden, like, this site shows up that says these are all the best softwares for this thing. The fact is that all of those placements are paid for, and then those companies also go out and they facilitate the review process to the extent to make your brand look good. And you have to pay for that as well. So there's multiple layers to this affiliate game. That's like, it's presenting it like, oh, like all this one brand or this one software group has like 1 million, 4-star ratings. Well, that was all more or less paid for, or they went out and they solicited these reviews or whatever it might be. And then they got in the first page of Google, and boom, like they're selling like crazy. So anyways, that same model, I would love to see applied to consumer packaged goods. Like, hey, coolers, rain jackets, blenders, whatever it might be. I mean, it's all that stuff out there. Like, there's all these editors who are giving you their opinions on the stuff. And, we see that at like reviewed.com and the Wirecutter or Consumer Reports. Like, again, the editors are doing all the work. But what about the consumers? What do people really think of their KitchenAid mixer? Maybe some people don't really like it all that much. I don't know. But I feel like, there's an opportunity, at least, to be the market leader in this space for consumer packaged goods. And you can both charge the the manufacturers, the makers of the product for that kind of merchandising. And then you can also get that affiliate commission on the backside once you start getting up and you're pushing product sales, pushing customer sales through your site to Amazon or whomever.
Yeah, I think this is a brilliant idea, as I've said, but I'm going to throw an objection out here to us to try and figure out, and it's one that you have actually uh, called out in your form submission. It's hard to rank content like this, right? To rank for outerwear, for example, if you don't have a site, you don't like competing against REI and Amazon and all these players. That's going to be a challenge, and you know how to address that better than most. I mean, it, like, what do you say to that? Is this a
Yeah,
multi-year
it's a
process to?
major SEO challenge. Like this, like the success of this idea, whoever is going to pull it off, and it's not going to be me. I have no interest in doing it, but I do think it's interesting. Is going to hinge on how performant the site's going to be in SEO in search engines. And so if you have a group that knows SEO inside and out, knows how to build a good website, knows how to do the content side of it all, and then can develop the backlinks, and it really comes down to like other people linking into your site. So typically that's usually kicked off by a bunch of influencers going out and saying, hey, and like you're paying these influencers, say, hey, like I just posted a review on so and so, you should go check it out. And then you start driving traffic in that way, or you get a PR agency, and the PR agency starts plugging it.
Would
But
you have this be so? You're mentioning it focusing on outerwear at the beginning. Would you?
So in full disclosure, my PR agency that I own and operate, we operate in the outdoor industry. So it's a bunch of stuff that you would find at REI. So that's why I always talk about coolers and rain
Yeah,
jackets and
that's
things.
completely fine. I guess what I'm wondering, it doesn't just have to apply to outdoor gear. Would
Oh yeah.
you buy a domain and brand it focused on outdoor gear, or would you try and make it more generic? And if you were to do the latter, how do you? Doesn't that make it harder from a SEO standpoint?
No, I don't think so. I mean, you could buy a domain named like just bestreviews.com or something like that. Or like, obviously consumer reviews is already taken, but there or like consumer reports, I guess is what it is. But the idea here is more what's in the URL parameters. So it's like, oh, best blenders with glass pitcher, something like that. And what Google's looking for is to match up the content in basically like the metadata, like the title tag of the page and the H1 on the page, with what somebody's searching for in their website or on the search platform. And so all that stuff, if that's all lined up, and SEOs know this backwards and forwards, that's really very, very basic. It should work. And then, yeah, you just have to deploy like a fairly aggressive SEO strategy. I mean, this would not be like a grassrootsy thing to pull off. I think you need to have like a fairly dedicated SEO team. You have to have people who really understand content publishing, and then you'd have to push through you'd have to get the audience off the ground. So you probably have to do a lot of Google advertising and things like that to say, for a very wide range of consumer packaged goods. And I think it should go out. It's not just an outdoor industry thing, but really what you're talking about here is any kind of product or service where there's a high degree of consideration. So you're not going to do this for a t-shirt. You're not going to do this for a pair of socks.
Let's talk
But
about some of the broader market trends that are going on here, just to break this up a little bit. The e-commerce people who are younger, more tech savvy, think that it's if you had to guess, you would think that it makes up the majority of sales or majority of retail sales, but it's not even close. I think it's 15% it's projected to be 15% in 2021. That's after the pandemic. It's only projected to be 19.5% by 2024. So e-commerce still has a long way to go in terms of growth. And of course, that doesn't even account for the fact that the economy itself is growing. So People, this is still nascent days in e-commerce, relatively speaking.
I'm
Um,
curious about those stats because I feel like is that all retail sales or is that consumer packaged goods? Is that clothing? Do you have any ideas? Like, is that broken down in any way? Because in my experience, obviously people are gonna buy groceries at grocery stores. They're not really buying that stuff online.
Fair enough.
Same thing with gas, right? So, you know, if you're looking at all purchases, I mean, it's probably always going to be kind of small, but there's a lot of stuff, particularly, I would say, clothing and durable goods that is being probably a much larger share is being driven through e-commerce. I mean, I can't imagine, I can't even remember the last time I went to a department store to buy a pair of pants.
Yeah, so total retail figures exclude sales of items not normally purchased online, such as spending at restaurants, bars, automobile dealers, gas stations, and fuel dealers. So,
Okay.
yes,
All
it
right.
is excluding
All
them.
right. You got me.
Googling that, it works.
Good work.
Yeah. All right. So, given that, it's still huge. I mean, no one's arguing that. But given that it's, I think it is important to see that, yeah, it's a small percentage still, but it's growing. So let's talk about how big this can get. I know you have firsthand experience, Chris, with some of these affiliate programs. How much do you think a site like this could make within a few years?
I don't know. I mean, I know that the affiliate, just in terms of the commissions that are paid out to US affiliates, publishers based on like customers that they drove to Amazon or wherever, is in the neighborhood of like 5 to 6 billion last year. And that was just the commissions that were paid out. And so I think if you add on top of that, companies who are paying heavily for preferred positions within the affiliate site and are paying heavily for you to round up consumer reviews on their behalf, I think you could do much better. I think actually that's where the majority of the income is going to lies, and is in the relationship with the manufacturer and not the relationship with the customer. The relationship with the customer is more of like this tertiary kind of passive channel that people show up, they see the review, they're like, oh yeah, I want that one. And that's just, you don't have to do anything. You just get this, you're just like a toll booth. You're just collecting commission as it runs through the system. Yeah.
I wonder if it's worth chatting about Amazon in this context, right? I mean, Amazon is dealing with these type of goods, but maybe not always from the manufacturers that we're talking about. Reviews are a huge part of Amazon. Two questions that I'm considering. One, like how do we use what's going on Amazon as an inspiration for what goes on in this type of project? And two, if this project starts to go well, does Amazon copy it? Because they just kind of already have a system of, getting people to review stuff. And do they have some way of just
I don't think
idea?
Amazon can copy it. I think it's more likely that Shopify can copy it. Amazon wants people to stay on their platform. They have a well created review ecosystem. And yeah, I think it's obvious that something like this will happen. I think Shopify is the most likely threat that occurs, though.
Yeah, I mean, I would step back a second here. So Amazon relies on these affiliates to drive them customers. That's a relationship that they have with these other, because they're like, okay, Amazon knows that while they have a huge market share, they don't have the entire market share. And so how do they get people to drive customers who are looking for stuff to their site and not other people's sites? So they actively manage these like affiliate relationships. Interesting stat, around 25 to 30% of all consumer oriented searches will start on Amazon's platform. That's a massive market share. But for the most part, the rest of that starts on Google.
What's
And
surprising
What?
surprising to me as you're saying that is people don't view that as an ad, or they don't view it as yeah, they're being marketed to when they go through an affiliate channel. It's kind of an aside, but sophisticated buyers typically they're blind to SERP ads often. A lot of people have ad blockers, but when they go like, yeah, kayakguru.com or something like that, and then they check out the top ranked kayak on there, they treat that with authority and
Yeah,
don't associate that with this pay to play aspect of it. That it
totally.
that's going right back to Amazon. Um,
100%. Yeah. Yeah, you're totally spot on. I mean, I'd say everything on that first page of search is curated to some degree, right? The ads, these publishers or whoever their content is showing up there. There was very deliberate, expensive strategy went into getting there, and then how do they monetize that traffic, right? That's the whole point. So they're monetizing it through affiliate. Anyways, so
Coming back to the idea itself here, the getting people to create these reviews, right? So what we're trying to do is, rather than having kayak gurus editors write their reviews and buy a bunch of kayaks and uh, take the pictures and all that stuff, but having actual consumers do that, very few people will write a review. I looked it up for Yelp. It's 1.87% of Yelp users post reviews. We all love reading reviews. We find them massively important, but we don't like making them. So incentivizing, that seems to be one of the biggest challenges to doing this is incentivizing folks. Ethan, you got an idea for that?
Well, I would say I just learned about something that I wasn't aware of. And I think the majority of consumers, they probably know something like this is, they have an intuition something's going on, but they don't know this detail. So there's a couple sites I want you to check out. One is called uberzonclub.com. The other one's rebatekey.com. And so these are specialized sites that are used primarily by people who want to market on Amazon. They want to put up a product on Amazon. And what they do is they'll give a very intense discount on the same products that you would buy on Amazon. And you actually do buy them through Amazon, but after buying them, they ask you for a review. And it's not necessarily a quid pro quo, but it's kind of like, oh, I just got like a set of headphones for $3. Do I want to provide a review or not? Sure. So just so people know, like, this is kind of how a lot of those reviews get up there. There's sort of these incentivized sites. So two things: if you want to get cheaper stuff than you even get on Amazon, go to these sites and, get a pair of headphones or something for a 90% off, whatever. But also, realize that a lot of those reviews that are on the sites when you're looking for them are coming from situations like that. So the credibility is lowered a little bit. So the question is, would we want to do something similar, or is that not a kosher part of a business like this?
I think that's exactly what you do here. And actually, come to think of it, I recently made a purchase, and it was a pair of gloves. I live in Wyoming. It's cold here. We got to wear gloves. And right after I purchased those gloves, the maker sent me this thing. Can you please review us on Trustpilot.com? And Trustpilot typically is a software solution, but it just triggered in my head. I'm like, oh my gosh, like maybe they are moving into CPG. Still, it's not big. Like they clearly have the model down, but I still feel like that would be so maybe they've already identified that this is an underserved niche that they could get into, but I don't think that they're showing up in search engines yet for CPG. So which to me means until the first kind of brand or, I guess group shows up in search engines, that's going to be the market leader,
I think we can learn from Amazon again here for incentivizing folks. They have a program called Vine Voice. I'm guessing neither of you are part of it. I'm not part of it, but if you create a lot of high quality reviews, Amazon will send you free products, and people make decent money, presumably out that. I actually don't know if they just get a ton of free products or if they make money, or if they feel good about having that Vine voice tag associated with their name. But investigating that incentive structure, learning how that works, and seeing how you can port that over into this idea, I think that can jumpstart
Well, you
a
know,
lot of what
maybe you guys can tell me, like, why the heck do people review in Yelp or TripAdvisor?
Yeah,
Well,
I
I'll
mean,
tell
that's
you,
a good question.
I'll be the one to answer that. Not that I have an authoritative answer, but I've been Yelp has been great for one of my businesses, or it had been great. In some ways, I hate Yelp, um, but when I first started getting into Yelp, I got a client recommended me. He's like, "Are you on Yelp?" And I was like, "No." He's like, "Sign up. I want to give you a great review." So I think there's something just about the goodwill of it, and then there's also the social aspect of people who want to be known as someone who you can trust to give good recommendations. So that's part of it. Um, Also just feeling like you owe someone, like, oh, I got a really good deal on that, or that person was really nice, that customer's, the waitress was so cool, or the manager came over and gave me, an extra breadstick or whatever, like wanting to pay it back. And then of course the other side of it is wanting to get out their frustrations and anger and like give the 1-star review. So I mean, I think that's why people go on the review sites, and Yelp specifically, I think they try to create it more like, it's almost like social, although I don't think they've had too much. I don't feel it myself when I'm on, but it's like, oh, it's like a social platform, and you can see like who reviewed that, like, right, that same person in my neighborhood is now an authority on the local stuff, and so they have the good reviews.
All
Those are
right,
my
so
thoughts.
I got a riff on this idea because I'm getting really excited about how we could implement it. What if we had personal pages for Ethan and Chris? Like, you had Chris's favorite gloves on there, and you linked to the ones that you purchased, and you get a portion of the commission payout. We take a cut for facilitating that interaction. But you could have a list of, these are my gloves, these are the desk that I use, the standing desk, the microphone that I like, and you have your own personal page. Everyone does that, and then the site also can aggregate user data, so you can still get that overall picture, but you can credit the contributors as well, which would solve the incentivization problem.
Yeah, and actually, that's, Chris, you're spot on. So funny enough, where this idea started was on back of my house on a deck, drunk one night with another buddy of mine, and we were talking about athletes and how athletes are these influencers and they use all this gear, and how can we kind of create a business around this sense of leveraging their like circles and their circle of influence. And we're like, well, what if they just had their own, like, we created a platform where they had a page and they just monetized all the stuff that they used, and they created like, oh, this is what Travis Rice's like snowboard or pants or whatever. And so that's where this first came from, was this idea of like, how do we, and then the athletes of course would promote the platform as well, and because they're the influencers and they're driving awareness in general. But and then I just kind of thought, well, we're thinking too narrow here. We need to think about blenders, not just snowboard pants.
It's funny that you mentioned blenders, because last Christmas, my wife's aunt asked her what blender I bought, because I'm known as the guy who does all the research, and whatever one that Chris bought would be, whatever one I bought would be good enough for her. So yeah, I could be a micro influencer selling blenders.
Oh,
Come on.
totally. Hell yeah. No, I mean, I think, you know, I think Ethan kind of characterized my feeling on why people would contribute, and that you have to build a site that would encourage the sense of community and allow you to give kudos to brands or products that you just feel like deserve it. And
Right.
um,
And you don't necessarily see that on like a trust pilot either. Like there's sort of like a community aspect you could dig in on a little bit there, like an influencer aspect, especially with consumer products, because it's not so niche. It's not so necessarily, softwares can be like B2B stuff, things like that. This is more about community. What are you using down the street in another household? What's the other moms in the neighborhood doing? Stuff like that. I thought of another idea is you could maybe going back to this idea of these sites where they offer these cheap products and then, ask you to give a review. Maybe you could take a Groupon type of model, right? Because Groupon goes out to, retailers or whatever. They say, hey, offer this special deal. It'll be a way to promote your thing. We'll offer it on Groupon. And, and then you can get more business after that. So potentially you could be an intermediary with brands and their products and say, hey, listen, we're going to run a special. We know exactly how this is going to work. We're to give away a bunch of your product. We're to give it at a deep discount. We know how these things go. You commit to doing this with us, partner with us, and you're going to get a ton of great reviews on our platform, or just, authentic reviews, however you want to put it. But it'll be like a review generating event. And we could sort of manage that partnership for you.
Yeah, totally. And I think what I always had in mind was, so as a PR person, we've worked with these sites. One that comes to mind is one called Kinja Deals. It's part of the Gizmodo group, and what they do is they just have these like specialty deals that they just publish all day long. They have huge audiences. I mean, like one time we like set up like a lighter. It was an electric lighter through there, and we sold 80,000 of them in a month. Or sorry, not in a month, in a week. It was like crazy, just like this one post. And it's like taking that model and it's crowdsourcing the reviews rather than having an editor curate them. And then to your point, Ethan, it would be really interesting to say, okay, like these manufacturers or makers can show up and say, okay, like we're going to work with you guys to do exclusive deals, and you guys push them out to your audience, and just like a Kinja Deals does, and that could also drive a ton of attention, and people love deals. That's what people most of us are deal hunters. Let's be honest.
We've got to talk about another objection here, which is
Okay.
that you are beholden to commission rate changes from these retailers. Famously, Amazon had a huge cut last year. I think it was in
Yep,
April,
you're right.
maybe, where they cut 80% of their. I mean, it changes, the commission cut that changes depending on the type of good, but it was a huge cut, up to 80% of the commission payouts, and that can sink a business overnight. How do you think about that risk?
Oh, no problem there. You just change who you're selling through. So all of our clients, they're all gunning for the direct sale. They only work with Amazon if they absolutely have to, because Amazon makes it so darn convenient. So they're getting small margins through Amazon. The publishers are getting small margins through Amazon. The thing about linking to Amazon is that it actually increases the click-through rate and the purchase rate, because it's a platform that is so ubiquitous and everyone already has an account with, and you can do one-click purchases and things like that. So you actually get a higher conversion rate if you use Amazon, but you get a lower commission. When you're linking direct, like to a direct consumer site, say like I made a link directly to Patagonia rather than Amazon. That's a bad example because Patagonia doesn't sell through Amazon. But anyways, like rather than REI, I'm going to link directly to Patagonia and sell it. That they are much more incentivized to provide you a better cut because they're selling a direct product. And rather than taking like the wholesale cut and then paying, a commission on top of that to the publisher, they might give you 15% because they're taking 85, and there's no wholesale margin there. So that's well worth it for a brand to pay 15% for the acquisition of a customer.
Big question that I still have for you is, why don't you want to do this idea? You've got all the experience, it sees like you could rock it. So that to me is a red flag that you're saying now.
Oh man, it's just bandwidth, dude. Like, I literally run a PR agency, and the agency is growing head over heels right now, which is great news. I'm not going to complain about that. We're hiring right now, but I'm also run a software company, and I'm also a dad, and I also attempt to work out every once in a while. So it's like there's only so many hours in the day. I can't.
All right. Now that we know
Fair
that you're
enough.
not going to usurp the
I believe it.
business, how do we start it?
Oh man. Well, you guys, I think the very first thing is you got to map out, like, you get, do your homework. I mean, this is what what we're talking about is an amalgam between Yelp and Trustpilot and the Wirecutter, right? So it's that sort of business model. And so first you want to map out what the heck we're going to sell on the thing, and like what are the kind of the key categories that we're going to focus on in the, at the beginning. Maybe it's blenders, maybe it's coolers, I don't know, but you should probably like narrow it in and just do a good job with that. And then you got to get your SEO team together, because SEO is going to be crux to making this thing work, right? And so that's
You
that's
thinking
that's the
like
second thing.
how much per month would you spend on an SEO team?
I mean, I would have it in house. I mean, I think it's like, I think whoever founds this thing is somebody who, one of the co-founders needs to be like an SEO,
Expert.
like, yeah, I think that's, and then another co-founder should probably be a content expert. Sometimes content experts are SEO experts, so that might be one and the same person, but there's the difference between content SEO and then like technical SEO. Maybe those people exist together. And then I would say, there's going to have to be some kind of fundraise. I think the way that you get off the ground here and you get a lot of people on the site is through advertising. And you just have to like know your categories, and you got to hit them hard with like advertising. So you start driving traffic and developing those reviews. And then once you have an audience,
Question on the advertising. What are your thoughts? Is it that you're advertising your site, just like, hey, check out this site, great reviews, stuff like that? You don't advertise the individual products, or
you would go do both. You would probably identify like, oh, like people are looking up KitchenAid mixers. Like, here's the specific model number. I'm going to advertise for that specific model number. Yeah. So you're gonna target right in on specific products that you see are driving a lot of volume, and then you grab those audiences. And so I think it's going to be very hard to attract merchants, or like say KitchenAid, if we're using that example, like the KitchenAid, the brand, to be a partner and to pay you money to better merchandise the site until you have an audience. So the very first thing you need to do is develop the audience, and then you can go out and say, hey, we have this site, we'd like to partner with you guys. We can show you that we're driving traffic, we're driving sales. Here's what it looks like. Let's do something together. And then you kind of start going broad. And I think there's, like I said, any consumer packaged good that has kind of high consideration, there's people who are looking to make for recommendations before they purchase. I mean, this is like basically all consumer electronics. This is basically like a lot of kitchen appliances. This is a lot of like outdoor equipment. That's, again, my like where I come from. So it's a lot of stuff if you really think about it. And you could start to kind of build out like these different departments.
The thing that I'd like to hear more about there is the transition to making it more of the crowdsourced content creation. And one idea that I had there, I'm not sure if this is possible, but find the people who are already writing reviews and get them to post a similar review. You probably can't have the same exact content on your site because maybe that's not going to work as well. You would know better than me, Chris, with your SEO experience, but duplicate content can get penalized. But if they're already creating a review, ask those people to also post it on your site.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I don't know. Again, I haven't had a lot of direct experience like getting people to write reviews, but there's a handful of these sites that have been very successful with consumer generated content. And generally speaking, you need to have a few staff editors that are kind of pushing the conversation in certain directions. And And then you just kind of open it up and you kind of set it up, and then you say, okay. But at the same time, like, you would also want manufacturers to come in and be like, okay, here's my 2022 lineup of blenders. We're going to upload all of them into your system, and then I want you to go out and like seed 150 reviews for each one, or round up 150 people, something like that. Or they just like after you make that purchase, like you mentioned, they send them a follow-up email saying, please review here and get something, or I don't know, whatever it might be.
An idea that's sort of connected, and especially connected with what you work with, outdoor stuff. I came across this company because a couple of friends were working for it. It's founded by this guy named Chris McNamara. It's called Outdoor Gear Lab. And are you familiar with it?
Yeah, and I know Chris. Yeah.
Oh, awesome, cool. Yeah, tell him he should come on the show. I think I sent an email many months ago, but yeah. So the way that they do what they do is they actually have a staff of people that independently review outdoor gear, and they don't actually do affiliate commissions at all. And that's part of their model, that it's just honest based on
how in the heck do they make money? Because I assumed it was affiliate.
Yeah, I don't think that that's how they do it. But I'll tell you what I do know about the process is they have people on staff, and which is kind of a fun job. My friend does the job of they'll give you like a bunch of hiking boots. I'll say, go out and climb a bunch of mountains and take some photos and rate these things on all these criteria and write up a really nice review, say which ones you think are best and stuff like that. And so basically the way I think this can apply to what we're doing is you might even be able to build a model where you compensate reviewers for putting reviews together, and maybe even provide them with templates and strategies for actually developing an even more scientific method of reviewing. So, you can review a bunch of boots, for example, and we're going to say how, go ahead.
Ethan, I'm going to prove you wrong right now. I'm on Outdoor Gear Lab. I am looking at their links, and they're all set up as affiliate links.
Yeah.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, but I'll tell you where their independence comes in, because I know these guys very well.
Yes.
We work with them as
I know there's a piece of it that makes them a little bit more independent.
They don't accept freebies.
They don't accept freebies. That's what it is.
They don't. Okay. They do not let PR people like myself give them a free thing to review, which is kind of a pain in my butt, because it's like, how like you're really going to go out and buy like a full price thing, like for instance, we work for a kayak company, and we really want them to review our kayaks, but the kayaks are like $5,000. I'm like, are you really going to go pay $5,000? Like, I'll just give you one, man. Like you can send it back after you're done. Like, you don't have to keep it. Like, just try it out.
Right.
Anyways,
right.
So that's their stick. I mean, I
thank you for sharing that. Yeah.
But they are absolutely monetizing that stuff, 100%.
Well, what I was going to say is, like that's an interesting piece of it, is the people that are reviewing don't necessarily get an incentive from the. So this is kind of the advantage of the way that we can build this other business, is that you pay the people to do a review. You don't pay them based on what they review better or worse, right? Or you compensate them with credits on the platform or whatever you do, and you provide them with a template so they can do, well done reviews. And in that case, you kind of have that aspect where they can be disinterested. They're more concerned about their reputation, but you, as the platform owner, you make your money through the affiliate links, and they don't make money through affiliate links, and they don't necessarily.
Or you give them a small percentage of the affiliate performance, in which case then they have more incentive to have a performant article.
Yeah, I think that ties into that. Like, if Ethan had his own page where it's you've got your boots or your fuzzy microphone cover or whatever your favorite one that you have on there, you got your list, then
Ethan's extras.
You want to drive up, like, people want to recognize that I'm the best reviewer of microphone covers out here. Come to my page, and you get your cut.
Yeah, you could also have a model. I'm just thinking about and maybe it just doesn't work. This is not how the world works, to have them be sort of disinterested in the amount of commission they get from different items, things like that. But, like there are sites like, what is it? Stack Overflow. I haven't gone too deep into it, but they have like a reputation thing, right? Like you answer a post, you get a little upvote, and you get points, right? And you get up on a ranking system. And I don't know that those points are worth anything monetarily, but I could potentially see a system where you set it up so that you get compensated based on the traffic that comes to your page, or you get compensated based on the number of thumbs ups, people give to your particular review or your particular persona, your personality. But yeah, you could do it either way, I suppose.
Yeah, I think the incentives are the key thing to figure out there. I'm going to quote Charlie Munger here: "Never ever think about something else when you should be thinking about the power of incentives. People aren't going to do this out of the goodness of their heart, in my opinion." We're coming up
Incentives are
on time.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah, so we're pretty much at time here. It's been a fun conversation with you, Chris. To the listener who is enamored with this idea, go take some action. You may love exactly everything that we've outlined for you, but you probably don't. So tell us what we got wrong. Email us at update@runwithit.fm. Love to hear from you. And yeah, Chris, tell us more about Visibly. Tell us about your PR firm as well.
Oh, thank you. Well, so I've been running a PR firm for 12 years. We specialize in outdoor equipment and active lifestyle consumer goods for the most part. So that's why I'm so familiar with this particular website that Ethan was referring to. But more recently, I launched a software solution called Visibly. And Visibly basically is the first solution that identifies how brands are reaching customers in search. And we really are trying to unpack that and help brands come up with better strategies to go deeper and be more ubiquitous in search engines.
Great.
Awesome.
Chris,
Yeah, it's a
Dickey,
really
thank
cool
you very much.
niche you're building there.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you so much.
That was a really fun conversation. Thanks for having me.
All right, should I sign us off the web here?
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
And I hit stop recording.